morning, students. Now we come to the third part of your chapter, Elements and Compounds. I told you in my previous lecture that elements and compounds are made up of atoms and molecules. So today we will discuss about them. First we have atoms. The word atom comes from the Greek word atomos, which means indivisible, uncuttable. An atom is the smallest particle of an element which possesses all the properties of that element and may or may not have independent existence. Which means if the atom is of a noble gas, that is helium, neon, argon, etc., then the atom is able to exist independently. However, if it is of a non-metal or some other element, then the atoms generally exist in a combined state, a molecule or a compound. Like this is hydrogen molecule and this is water molecule. Next, we will discuss about the characteristics of an atom. The first characteristic is the atoms of most elements are very reactive and do not exist as free atoms. They exist in combination with the atoms of the same element or other elements. For example, in nature, hydrogen atoms do not exist as single atoms. They are formed in combination with the atoms of hydrogen or other elements, like this is methane. However, the atoms of noble gases exist as free or single elements. Our next characteristic is all atoms of an element are similar or identical. For example, a lump of gold consists of only one type of atoms. They exhibit the same properties. Next is the atoms of one element are always different from the atoms of other elements. For example, the atoms of the element gold are different from the atoms of the element silver. They have different properties. The fourth characteristic is an atom maintains its properties through all physical and chemical changes. For example, a piece of iron has the property of being attracted towards a magnet. If this piece of iron is broken down into smaller pieces, the smallest particle, that is the atom of iron, will retain the property of iron. This means it will still be attracted towards a magnet. So these were the four characteristics of an atom. Next we will start with molecules. What is a molecule? A molecule can be defined as the smallest particle of an element or a compound that has independent existence and shows all the properties of that substance. Now we will discuss about the characteristics of the molecules. The first characteristic is the molecules are formed by the combination of the atoms of the same element or of different elements. For example, oxygen atom combines with one more oxygen atom and forms oxygen molecule. Next, one atom of nitrogen combines with three atoms of hydrogen to form one molecule of ammonia. The second characteristic of molecule is the molecule of a compound has atoms of different elements combined in a fixed whole number ratio. For example, carbon dioxide. One atom of carbon combines with two atoms of oxygen to form one molecule of carbon dioxide. Here, the atoms of carbon and oxygen are combined in a fixed whole number ratio. The third characteristic is The atoms in a molecule are held together by attractive forces called chemical bonds. You will study about these bonds in higher classes. They are covalent bonds and ionic bonds. The fourth characteristic is a molecule of a substance can be represented by its molecular formula. For example, one molecule of water is represented by the formula H2O. Now children, we have studied about atoms and molecules. So what are the differences between the atoms and molecules? Let us compare their properties. So you can see in this figure, an atom is the smallest particle of an element that generally does not exist independently. As I told you earlier, if the atom is of a noble gas, it exists independently. But if it is of a non-metal or other element, then they occur in a combined state. Whereas a molecule is the smallest particle of an element or compound that always exists independently. Atoms are highly reactive. Except the noble gases, all atoms are highly reactive. The noble gases do not react. The molecules are, on the contrary, the molecules are less reactive. The atoms cannot be subdivided, whereas the molecules can be subdivided into atoms. There is no chemical bond in an atom, whereas the atoms in a molecule are held together by chemical bonds. Now our next topic is molecules of elements. The molecules of an element are formed by the combination of two or more atoms of the same element. For example, a molecule of hydrogen is made up of two atoms of hydrogen and a molecule of oxygen is made up of two atoms of oxygen. A molecule of ozone is made up of three atoms of oxygen. Now one more term is added here, that is atomicity. What is atomicity? The number of atoms present in a molecule of an element is called its atomicity. Children, noble gases such as helium, neon and argon exist as single atoms. These single atoms are also the molecules of the respective elements. They are called monoatomic molecules. Mono means one or single. Now see children, in this table, helium is written as He, so it is monoatomic. Hydrogen is written as H2, that is H plus H, it is diatomic. Oxygen is also written as O2, that is O plus O, it is also diatomic. Ozone is written as O3, that is O plus O plus O, it is triatomic. And if we have more than this, we can simply call it as polyatomic. Poly means many. For example, phosphorus molecule is written as P4 and sulfur molecule is written as S8. Now we will study about the molecules of compounds. When the atoms of two or more elements combine, they form a molecule of a compound. Some examples are as follows. Children, we have already discussed about the molecules in the beginning and I am elaborating more on it with more examples. So first we have water. It has two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. Then we have one molecule of carbon dioxide, which has one atom of carbon and two atoms of oxygen. Next is hydrogen chloride, HCl. This is also known as hydrochloric acid. It has one atom of hydrogen and one atom of chlorine. And the last one given here is nitrogen dioxide, which has one atom of nitrogen and two atoms of oxygen. Now children, we come to the end of our third lecture of this chapter. I will get back to you with my next topic of this chapter, that is molecular formula. Till then, take care and be safe. Thank you.